This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1169, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, it's our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
Sorry, dear listener, that on Tuesday we skipped our show. We had great plans, even though it was a holiday weekend, and I saw a lot of national podcasts taking it off. I was like, no, we're going to go above and beyond for our listeners. And then I didn't. So sorry. The plan was Jesse and Derek and Prop and a whole bunch of friends. We were out in Montana this past weekend. And my plan was on the plane ride home, I'll put the finishing touches on Tuesday's podcast and we won't miss a beat.
Yeah.
Plane Wi-Fi slower than I remembered. So I couldn't exactly transfer massive files on 30,000 feet in the air. So sorry about that, everybody.
Lesson learned, but somehow, it always tricks you into ordering the Wi-Fi, because when you're using your phone to tap into their, on-screen hard drive full of reruns of The Office and Parks and Rec and weird little travel documentaries, it works fine. But then when you try to get the actual internet, it says
you're paying for. It says streaming as part of what you can do on the paid Wi-Fi, and it's like, great, I'll stream/download files that I need, and I couldn't do it. And then I landed at midnight, and I was like, I'm not staying until 3 a.m. for these people. So,
Cameron, can I tell you something I appreciate about you? That just that spirit of I'm not, I noticed this in a text thread that we were on from some of our friends from Montana. I feel like you've entered a little bit into a Larry David phase where there are just things, there are social inconveniences that you have decided now I'm done with. I'm just not going to do it. In a very Larry David sense. And I hope I'm not telling, I don't think you're going to tell the story.
No,
we're in a text thread, and because there are Android users on it, I don't even know all the technical things that went wrong, but it's with a lot of our friends from Montana, so we can all keep in touch. Yeah. And it breaks into multiple threads because different people have, different numbers and Androids. Everyone's trying to figure out how we can all be in one text thread together. And it's a little chaotic, And one of the solutions as proposed by one of our friends says, you know what, guys? I'm going to set up a WhatsApp thread. We'll just move this over there. And here's Cameron announces, not going to do WhatsApp. See you next summer. Literally to avoid the inconvenience. And then he tells people, I have the app. Someone says, Cameron, I'll help you download it and set it up. And Cameron says, no, I have it. I just don't want to use I don't need another app in my life.
That's what it is. I'm not downloading a new app because of Android users. You know what I'm saying? I will start a separate thread with all my iPhone friends from the trip. That's my plan.
Cameron has gotten so Larry, and this is pure Larry David. Would rather just put the friendships on pause for a year than to have the social inconvenience of having to deal with WhatsApp.
I'm sorry. Come on. Everybody has their limits. WhatsApp is my limit. It's a terrible app. I don't like it.
I know.
It is a terrible app.
Yeah, but I did think, what other human would do this? And it's definitely Larry David. He's just made the decisions that, there are just there's a line you're willing to walk up to, but from there, we'll see you next summer. It's not that big a deal.
I'll be there. Yeah. I love you guys. Hope you have a good year.
But you don't love him enough to download one app?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, no. He has the app.
No. I've used it. I used it when the last time I traveled internationally, the way that group had to communicate because we were overseas was WhatsApp. So I downloaded it, set it up. I had to say that to say, in case they were adding people via phone number, I do exist in WhatsApp. It does not exist on my phone though.
Yeah.
So that's all I was trying to say.
Well, I've neither downloaded it or set it up. So maybe at some point I will, friends. But
See,
but
exactly.
I didn't announce it.
You didn't announce it. At least I was upfront with
Mine's
it. Like
more
you're
passive.
not going to.
Mine's more passive.
You're quiet quitting. You're quiet quitting the friend group.
Well, and that's why I said like. I don't feel like you have the passive in you. I feel like you have to address it directly, like a Larry David would. You know what I mean? Like if he sees someone double dipping in the chip bowl instead of just avoiding the chip bowl, you've entered the stage of life where you're going to call it out. You know what I mean?
I would. I have a justice streak in me that if somebody's double dipping, that you're not more important than the other people here at this party. What are you doing? I would absolutely have called out the double dipper.
Or like when Larry's like at the hotel lobby and the guy brings out fresh cookies, Larry David can't let it go that they're Pepperidge Farms, that they're clearly not fresh, and has to address it with the staff and the other guests that they were told to be fresh cookies.
We were misled. We're charged. We're paying a premium for the fresh cookie experience, and they're pulling out some Pepperidge Farms.
You're not going to let it go. You're not going to let it go.
You're going to give me a discount? You're going to give me a discount? You're not paying a chef?
Yeah.
I think we should all live that way. Let's shoot straight. Here's what I have found more often than not when I do shoot straight, because I do it in love. I love all these guys. I'm just not going to download WhatsApp. I don't need another app in my life. I'm just going to tell you honestly. What it does is it gives permission to other people to go, yeah, me too, and raise their hand. But they didn't want to break the ice. I'll break the ice for us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, wait, did anyone follow suit though when you said this?
No, the text thread stopped then and there because he said this was
awkwardly.
the last. This is the end of this text thread. We're going to WhatsApp. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going over there. So I'll see you guys next year. And that was the end of the thread. So
it was very joyous. Yeah. And then it was like, all right, well, okay.
Do you not get like FOMO that like people are having a conversation without you?
No, not in the least.
What is it like to be emotionally regulated, Cameron? Please share with the class.
I don't get FOMO either, but it's not because I have a high degree of emotional regulation. I just am emotionally detached and am tired all the time.
Okay.
I stopped getting FOMO because I'm just tired and be like, you know what? I'm kind of glad I'm missing out. I'd rather just sit here and do nothing. Not because I'm antisocial.
Not at all.
Just because I just need to recharge the batteries, you know?
Yeah. Jesse, I got back, and we were gone for 5 days, 6 days. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I used dog sitting service to watch my dog.
Okay.
Like he stayed with this family here in the neighborhood. I found him through a website, and highly rated family. And when you're scrolling different, dog sitters, they you see their ratings, you see all the things about them, and then their rate. They set their rate, and then when you end up paying for the dog sitting service, you see the daily rate, and then you see the website, the company's fee added onto it, kind of like a Ticketmaster fee.
Yeah,
taxes, and then here's what you pay. So I'm like, okay. This is what the company gets, and then the family who set their rate will get the rest of it. Great. I just got a text this morning, automated text from the website saying, hey, go rate your dog sitter and leave a tip. Okay. Why would I leave a tip? I want your thoughts on this because I am confused because there's people who are charging $25 a night up to $75 a night.
Yeah.
My thing is like, that rate change is the level of service, experience, facilities, the care you give the dogs, all that stuff. I paid not the top rate, but a top tier rate. I went with the good, credible family, highly rated. And why would I? And they set their rate, and they even charged more because it was a holiday weekend. And I'm like, that's valid. Demand, supply and demand. Great. Why would I tip them? If you want more than that, then set your rate more than that.
I get confused by a lot of tipping stuff. I've given the example before of like walking up to like, a bar at a restaurant and ordering just like a water or ordering something that they pull out a bottle of water and then, is it still etiquette to tip even though there was no really service rendered there, The only thing I would say about service industry jobs or Uber drivers or anything is their pay rate is flat,
like especially bartenders and waitresses, they get below minimum wage. So you're supposed to supplement it with, them
let's
serving
take
you well.
Restaurants off the table. Here's one that has always confused me because it's similar, in my opinion, is haircuts. Okay.
Yes.
This is the price of the service. It says men's haircut right here. Shampoo right here.
Yeah, but here's another one on those. Like if it's a salon person, they're paying a major percentage of their fee to the salon. If it's like a Fantastic Sam's, they're making minimum wage. So they're also living off of tips of the customers because the store or the salon is getting the majority of that cost. Rover, oops, I said the company, 100% of that rate goes to the family. They set their own rate. Why am I tipping you on top of what you already charged me?
I do tip, but I always feel the awkward social pressure because I don't like iPad tip culture. I like it when it's in the little secretive booklet and you fill it out and close it. But when they slide the iPad over, not only can they see it, everyone around you sees, where you're doing it. And it, again, I'm going to be a good sport here, but the different scenarios are, it's just getting a little, if someone comes and fixes an appliance at your house, do you tip them?
No, I've never tipped.
Oh, I tip appliance repair people.
Wait, are you supposed to?
It's a service. That's what I was taught. If it's a service.
Yeah, but you're paying like $100-something an hour. Like hold on. I hire an electrician, come out $100 an hour to work on my house. You're saying when I'm standing out in the driveway, he said via phones and stuff, he says, okay, 6 hours, $600, and I give him my card. You're saying I'm supposed to tip on top of that?
I don't know what you're supposed to do. I'm just telling you what I do.
You're just shoving money in everybody's hands.
I give them the old appreciate you and then slide another 15% cash.
Really?
15%?
Well, that's a tip.
I get that for like service workers because they're not the ones making the money. The company is. But if it's an electrician getting paid directly, he got all that money. Just, okay, if you don't want to charge me $600, charge me $660.
What if he works for an electrician company? Like, what if he's not an independent contractor?
Specifically, the electrician that I am referencing.
Let's say Roto-Rooter comes out.
Roto-Rooter's a different scenario. They're an hourly rate employee,
So you tip the Roto-Rooter in the driveway?
I think you might because you're paying the Roto-Rooter advertising, the painted vans, you're paying for the company expenses. That's blurry. Not going
That's
to the
all
dude.
I'm saying. Because now I'm having to investigate the corporate structure of all these contracting. I don't know who owns this operation here. It's just confusing. I feel like there needs to be some sort of just hard line here.
I feel like I'm nervous about this Rover.com situation because I really like this family. They took good care of my dog. They are here in my neighborhood.
Gave them no tip.
Well, no, I just got the text right before we recorded, so I haven't. Okay. I wanted your thoughts. I don't know what to do because now I'm going. If they set a fair rate and they're not expecting an additional tip, I'm an idiot for wasting money. If they are expecting a tip because everybody tips them and I don't, then maybe they don't want to take my dog next trip.
Okay, here's one that I've run into. Doorman. Okay. There's a nice establishment in town. Like you've been there. It's that I guess I can say it, the Cavalier Hotel here. The
haunted one, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's a like I said, very nice establishment. Oh. They have a doorman, who greets you when you come in and when you leave. I always tip the doorman and I always chat with him because I'm a chatty person and I go there enough that I recognize him. But you're basically tipping someone just to have a conversation.
Okay. If they did anything for you, i.e. called you a cab, help get your luggage out of the trunk of the cab that dropped you off.
There's other people that do that. He's more of the greeter.
But the doorman done the doorman. You tip the guy who opens the door?
Yeah.
So you've entered a slippery slope.
I feel like we're all sliding down this mountain. Emily, the doorman who you see with some regularity, you tip him.
First off, thank you for assuming that I stay in nice enough places where there are doormen to tip. Thank you so much for that.
This is, there's like restaurants and stuff within the confines. I don't stay there, but
no. Well, that's the thing. Like, here's my thing with tipping culture is like, everyone would love more money, but it's like, I feel bad when I don't tip sometimes, like, or not. I do always tip. I don't always give a great tip, but it's like, I don't have a massive influx of cash to give you. So I do feel stressed. That being said, the doorman, I probably don't tip him. I give him a nice handshake. Thank you for your service.
I don't think he wants that. I don't think he's looking for that.
Okay.
And honestly, he's looking at the wrong person then, if that's what he wants.
I was talking to my mom about tipping the other day. Oh, Mother's Day. Took the family out to lunch and a nice restaurant. And I picked up the tab. And anyway, I don't know how tipping came up, but my mom is very fiscally conservative. She's a CFO. My entire life, they've lived far below their means. Growing up, my mom would buy the generic grocery store brands instead of Crest and like junk like that, like to save a few bucks. She came from a ministry family. Her parents were missionaries. They're very thrifty. Depression era. Just you pay cash, no debt, that kind of mindset. Okay. Well, my parents are really rich too. So probably because of that. But like they are Christian leaders in certain circles. I mean, they started a Christian media company and all this kind of stuff. And my mom, and we were talking about tipping, and she said, she's like, I'm a really generous tipper. And I was like, okay, what do you mean by that?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, first of all, I use it as kind of a testimony because like they'll talk to their servers about the Lord and stuff. I mean, they'll pray for their servers and they're just, they are known as like, and especially they go to the same like 5 restaurants all the time. Right. Yeah. So they're kind of known in their neighborhood.
Applebee's, Bennigan's,
Longhorn
TGI
Steakhouse,
Fridays.
Chili's, some Italian restaurant. And it is for real. Like they're creatures of habit.
The last Fuddruckers in the country. So
they feel like a celebrity would. Then celebrities are different, but like they feel like this staff knows us and we want to be a good witness.
Basically, a righteous gemstones situation.
My mom overtips, and I was like, "Well, what do you do at a restaurant?" She's like, "If it's normal service, I'll tip 30%. I've tipped 50 and more %.
Yeah,
if like the person, like I just have a heart for them." And I was like, "Yeah, but then you set the precedence with that server that you're a 50% tipper. And now every time she's going to think you've trapped yourself." She's like, so be it. Like it's in my ministry. It's fine. It's like a celebrity. They go out, like people are going to tell the story of the time they ran to Bill Murray or I served Bill Murray at my restaurant and he was a cheap tipper or he was a generous tipper. Like you've got to be aware of that. Okay. I get that. That's restaurants. See the Rover situation. I'm feeling I might have to do a tip I don't want to do just so I can have them in my good graces for future stays for my dog.
Okay. There was a neighborhood Mexican restaurant years ago that me and Dana would frequent. And we got chatting with our server one night and it turned out he was getting married the next day. Okay. And so I was, Dana were like, let's give the guy. So I gave him a very generous gift. And I said congratulations, for hey, you're getting married, set you off on them. I felt good about it. Every time I went, he sought our table out at that point, and would bring me things I didn't order. Okay. And then you feel obligated to eat or drink those things because I didn't ask for this,
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt obligated every time to give a generous tip. And it just created a little, I didn't stop going to the restaurant entirely. I had to find a new Mexican place. I didn't want to deal with it anymore.
No, waiters do that because my friend and I, last Christmas, I was back in Nacogdoches just visiting for a while. And one of my friends, we went to dinner and our waitress was great. Very gossipy though. She came over to our table to tell us about what was happening at other tables, which personally I loved. And she was great. She brought us a free drink and dessert and stuff. She was wonderful. So we obviously gave her an amazing tip. Well, she was asking when are you guys going to come back? What time will you be here? And I was only there for the weekend. And she's like, well, I work Sunday afternoon if you want to come back. She was trying to get me to come back again. But I was like, I don't live here anymore. You're barking up the wrong tree. My friend who still lives there, he went there a couple weeks later and she sought him out again and was super, super nice. And he told me later, he was like, I think she thought that we were going to be the big tippers, but I was the one that tipped big. He didn't really tip that big. So I feel bad for her because now she won't get a huge tip anymore.
My biggest tips, and this is going to come to no surprise to anyone, There's a guy here on the weekends. We'll go to some restaurants and do tableside close-up magic.
Yeah, but you slip him a 5, you said. That's not big.
No, I've got him, and I've got him gigs too. I've been so blown away. He sees me and he's like, "Come up, let me stop the show here, guys. I got a special customer," and he'll come and do a whole performance. Okay, and Cameron, if you scale it up for a 5-minute, that's like $1 a minute. That's pretty good, by the way. And usually it's 10, and it's like a 5-minute magic show.
I need you to
ballpark.
How much money do you think you've given this man over the years in tips?
Directly, quite a bit. Indirectly, even more, because I've recommended him for parties, and people have booked him because he's awesome. When you come, Cameron, I'm going to look at his schedule, and we're going to go, and he's going to blow your mind. I don't know how he's only doing tableside stuff. He said he did a lot of stuff in Vegas. I haven't.
If you were successful as a magician in Vegas, you're not ending up as a part-time tableside guy in Virginia Beach. I'm sorry.
I don't know what else. I don't know. I think he just likes it. It's a great pizza place.
He likes the laid-back lifestyle of doing magic at a pizza place every other Friday.
People love it, man.
What does he do during the day? He's like an accountant or something.
I haven't really talked to him.
He's like Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec, where he lives this double life, where he's like actually Duke whatever at night, where he's got this whole like cult following music.
Trust me, when you see this guy is full time. This is a full time magician.
He's full time magic.
Full time magic.
Wait,
You think so?
Before we move on, Jesse, I just remembered. Did I tell you that I recently found out my friend has a retired magician's pet rabbit?
No. Where? How did was this rabbit acquired?
So she agreed to, this was like in 2020, she agreed to watch this rabbit for her friend who did magic kind of on the side, and like used the rabbit, in tricks or whatever. And the friend like went to Texas, I think for something, I don't know what it was. Anyways, never came back to Tennessee. So just left this rabbit with my friend. So now she has to care for this rabbit because she didn't want to give it up. But it's a retired magic rabbit. And so it does no tricks. So I'm supposed to go over at some point and we're going to try a bunch of different magic tricks.
It doesn't need to do any tricks. What's the point? It's just a rabbit. Like you might as well not even tricks. You might as well not qualify it.
What do you mean it can do tricks? What does that mean?
I don't know.
She doesn't do the trick.
She told me that I think like she had seen his set or something, and so she would just like do the tricks that he did with the rabbit. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but I need to see this in person.
He would put the rabbit in a box and then slide a thing to cover it up so it looks like it's not in there anymore, and then he's back in there. Like the rabbit just sat there the whole time. The rabbit didn't do anything. By the way, I just went to.
I'll confirm.
I just went to my magician's friend, his Instagram, Cameron, and he identifies as a professional magician, and 2024-25 is fully booked. He's not even booked until 2026.
Yeah, because he's working full time at State Farm, and he's fully booked in the evenings he has available.
I refuse to believe a man of his talents is working at State Farm. I'm sorry. Not disparaging insurance agents, but this guy's out of your league. He would, by the way, he would kill it as an insurance salesman because he would open every meeting with sweet magic tricks.
That's a true story. I'd hire that. I'd go with that guy. Some website or a State Farm agent that can do magic tricks.
Any salesperson, I feel like if you want to be successful in sales, learn a couple good magic tricks. Everyone's going to do business with you.
But we learned on The Office when Toby was having to take away Michael's corporate credit card again. It's because Michael took it down to the magic shop and bought $100 worth of magic tricks. And Michael was like, remember, like, what was his line?
It was a sales tool. And Michael was right here. Michael was right. And Toby was dead wrong. Dead wrong.
I pulled a cigarette through the freaking quarter, Toby, or whatever he said. I forget what it was. Well, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talk to Christian hip hop artist WHATUPRG. He has a great story. If you don't know his story, we get into it, and you don't want to miss that. At the end of the show, we have your feedback, but stay tuned. Up next, it's Relevant Buzz. listening to Daydreamers. The song is Beach House. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by The Grace Project, a compelling new novel by author Kyle Bullock. The story uncovers the details of a violent crime tied to a small-town church and the four members at the center of it all. Their lives collide as they confront weighty issues like racial equality, political divide, and LGBTQ inclusion through the lens of biblical grace. The Grace Project is perfect for individuals or small groups and is available now on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, or download on Audible. Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
All right. Well, I think if you'll remember a month ago, we were talking about Russell Brand because he had just gotten baptized and he was talking about it online. And ever since then, he's been posting pretty much weekly, sometimes daily updates on just what he's been learning on his faith journey and, you know, how he's been growing and how he's been changing. And it's been really interesting to watch. And this week he gave a 1 month update and it was just really deep. We actually want you to listen to the video, so we're going to play it here.
I've been a Christian a month now, and it's been a big change. Not that I've entirely changed as a person, of course I haven't, but I've taken on a lot of new concepts, and it changes you to accept that it's not like you're in a game show and by doing really, really good things you can get redeemed. No, repentance, to repent, means that you have to continually change and acknowledge that I am in a battle against myself, that I need to surrender myself to an ever-present, internal and accessible Jesus, that mercy is something that's given to me, been granted to me, that I live with through love, not something that I can sort of win or achieve by doing good deeds. It's brought incredible people to me, incredible literature to me. It's brought a sense of peace. And when I'm in doubt, I feel that instruction is there, accessible. That I feel like I know what I'm supposed to do. And when I don't do what I'm supposed to do, that's even clearer. Like when I feel myself being selfish or inconsiderate or putting myself first or not thinking about how I can be better to other people. It's as if there is an inner illumination available to me now. I love the simplicity of the idea of God come to earth as a man to experience what it is to be human and to sacrifice himself, because that's the only sacrifice that could bring us home, that could give us the opportunity for redemption. I like the idea when I'm in prayer and in communion just alone, that there is a figure available, wounded and coronated, available to me. In my failings and my failures and in my fallibility, there is strength to be broken, not just broken by life in the sense of life is wearying and exhausting, but to be broken in the same way that you have to train an animal to behave itself, to be broken into better conduct. It's a beautiful journey to go on. I know I'm just at the beginning. I know I'm just learning. I know there's so much more to learn, and I'm so excited to learn more from you and for us to learn together. Let me know where your journey's taking you. Can you remember your first month as a Christian? And let me know if, since I've been talking about this publicly, it's made you think about Christianity differently. We're having lots of conversations about this stuff, and I'm so grateful to be having them with you. Stay free.
Wow. That was honest and insightful. I think the thing that jumped out to me most about his is, there's a lot to unpack, right? That's one thing about Russell Brand. He can pack a lot into a very little amount of time. And he's very articulate, but just when he talked about the sense of peace, I think that is one of the coolest, most ever present things about being a Christian,
His insight about grace and mercy and the work of the Holy Spirit in our lives and stuff, like 1 month in, this man has more of a grasp of Christian theology than many, many people who grew up in the church their whole lives, that are more understanding of cultural Christianity, or, it's just kind of a lifestyle that we all have to live or whatever. This guy is like delving into the scriptures and the spiritual experience and stuff. Like I'm kind of blown away by how quickly he's wrapping his head around all this.
Yeah.
It is really cool because I also can't really think of another time, especially a celebrity has been so open and vulnerable about the beginning of their journey. Like a lot of them, maybe they share like they got baptized, but then they don't really open up about what that means for them or what they're learning and stuff. And I do think it's really nice that he's being very vulnerable, because in videos that we've seen over the last month, he'll even admit like, he learned something. Like he'll kind of just share the new things he's learning. Like he's not propositioning himself as like, I'm an expert on this. Like he is very much taking his like fans on a journey with him, which is, I don't know. I think it's really interesting to see how this will play out. And
I just appreciate the earnestness of someone who's new to the faith. And it kind of reminds you, it reminds, I think, anyone who's, been a Christian for any amount of time, what it's like in those periods where there's elements of the faith that are new and exciting. And it's cool to see that in somebody and also be reminded of like, wow, there's a lot I feel like we all probably take for granted sometimes,
Mm-hmm. So I saw Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I saw some clips of his stand-up a long time ago. I read your cover story with him at Relevant Magazine.
Yeah.
I see clips on social media here and there. That's what I know of Russell Brand. That's the totality of what I know about Russell Brand. So yesterday when we posted this on the website, our designer had taken off. So I was looking for like a Russell Brand image to, so Emily could post it. And so I go over to his YouTube channel to like, I'm going to just grab a screenshot or something, I have not been aware of the Russell Brand ecosystem. That man's a conspiracy theorist. It was a wild journey. The Russell Brand YouTube channel was a wild journey for me yesterday. And I'm like, why do we have to get the weird ones? Why can't we get like Christian Bale and like normal actors? Why do we have to get the conspiracy anti-vaxxer dudes who are like already like on the fringes?
He's had quite the journey down
quite the journey. Quite the journey.
Down quite a few paths. Yeah.
So if any of y'all know like Christian Bale or I don't know, Emma Watson or somebody like that, like
they
can you
may
give them
already
a
be.
track and send them a YouVersion link or something? Let's get them in the whole fold.
Let's dig into why those are the two names that you picked of all the celebrities, Christian Bale and Emma Watson.
Okay, well, first of all, Christian Bale, you know for a fact that I watched Ford versus Ferrari last night, so he was on my mind. I already told you this. But Emma Watson, as I said Christian Bale, I realized I'm just saying a white man. So I was trying to think of a female name to say that was not a controversial female. So I had to go down the list quite a ways, and then Emma Watson popped in. So there you go. Emma Watson is what I came up with. Is she controversial? I don't know.
No, I think for the most part she's fine.
Yeah, I just want a nice, normal. We got Chris Pratt. I'm glad about that one.
Yeah.
But there's got to be something in between Chris Pratt and Tim Tebow and Russell Brand on the other side. Can we get some in the middle?
That is a wide spectrum.
But there's probably a lot that maybe just aren't as vocal,
But you're saying we need a vocal one who's not on
a vocal one that's not a conspiracy theorist and isn't like, I don't know,
just someone in the we'll figure.
I mean,
let's come up with that list.
Let's work on that.
We'll get right on that.
I'm just saying, if any of y'all are in LA and you run into like Mark Wahlberg at the Grove, like just go up to him.
Mark Wahlberg,
tell him about Jesus.
He is. He's
okay.
He's
hold
very,
on. Well,
he's very open about his.
Not the Catholic one. I'm thinking of like Channing Tatum. I was thinking of the other shirtless guy. There you go, Channing Tatum. If you happen to see Channing Tatum at the Grove,
the two shirtless men, Mark
Jesus.
Wahlberg and Channing Tatum.
Who's the other guy? John Cena. I get John Cena and Channing Tatum mixed up all the time. John Cena would be a good one. Let's get him in the fold.
Hey, just so y'all know, John Cena does follow us on Twitter.
Really?
John Cena follows us on Twitter. Yeah, this was like
DM him about Jesus, Emily.
My tweets are always written, or like our tweets are written in the thought of what would John Cena want to engage with, and that's what we tweet.
He's going to boost our algo. If he likes
I'm reading. Well, again, this is me just looking at the Googling, but some people say John Cena already is a believer.
Well, he needs to use his platform to talk about it the way Russell Brand and Chris Pratt do. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't want a hide your bushel type Christian. I want a normal, like mainstream, popular celebrity who's a shine your light type Christian. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like Alan Richardson guy, except he's a little political. He got a little conservative. Sure. But
I was like, can we confirm that John Cena is not also a crazy conspiracy theorist or anything like that?
Yeah, he does kind of reek of conspiracy beliefs.
John Cena?
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see him going down the wormhole.
I think he seems pretty reasonable. Again, I'm presuming a lot just based on. I don't even know that I've seen one John Cena.
He became famous wearing a Speedo and no shirt. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he was wrestling. He wasn't just doing that. You make it sound like he just famously, that's why. Like, oh, look at this guy. No, he was professional wrestling in,
True.
I think that's an important distinction to make in his rise to fame. I don't think it was just the Speedo. I don't think it was the Speedo first and then like, hey, you should probably wrestle. I think it was, you know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah. All right, Elliot, what else do you have?
I don't know, though. To be fair, I don't know. I'm just
true.
presuming.
He might have gotten Speedo famous. I haven't read his autobiography. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you guys this. Do you guys feel like who you are online is who you are in real life?
For the most part. I'm not really online, outside of this. So sure.
Yeah,
I don't post at all.
I'm recognizing I'm talking to maybe the two least online people in my life.
No. We are incredibly online on the consumption side.
Yeah.
We are not online on the posting our life side.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, some people who take a very different approach to life and the internet from the two of you is Gen Z, because a new study found out that 46% of Gen Z, nearly half of them, feel like they live a double life online.
Well, double life meaning...
So they reported that they feel like their personality online, like who they are, is very different from how they actually present themselves in the real world.
Interesting.
And is there a reason? Just is that sort of just like a generational value to have a positive perception online?
Well, no. So about 68% said it's just easier to express themselves online. And so they're more comfortable sharing their beliefs, whether it's, political or otherwise, their ambitions, their fears. They just feel more confident posting that online than maybe engaging in those kind of conversations in person. And so because of that, they kind of feel this disconnect with who they are on the internet or social media versus who they are in real world.
That's interesting because there's such a value of the newer, younger generations is authenticity. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting that they are living conscious that they're living a false identity online to who they really are, or vice versa, that's who they really are. And they don't express that in their real life.
I feel like this, I've read other studies about, and again, I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush, but like how there's been other studies about Gen Z, like doesn't like talking on the phone or is like uncomfortable answering the phone or having in-person conversations or having relationships that aren't, mostly digital. Is Emily, I know it's not a monolithic, sort of value, but in your experience, does that check out? And why do you think that is?
Yeah, I definitely think that I've always said the reason I liked writing is because I think it allows me to really think through what I want to say and what I want to put out there. And so I also think I don't have as much experience talking on the phone. I will say, I feel like I'm a much better speaker being on this podcast because I have to vocalize things sometimes quickly. I don't always get to think through my thoughts. I just kind of speak my mind.
We call it verbal vomit. Emily's verbal vomit. It's a t-shirt I have. It's trademarked. Emily's verbal
and there's
vomit.
Some throw up on it. No, but I've never really had a place in my life where I've had to verbal vomit. It's always so many things have been online. And so I do think that Gen Z, they've grown up even more online than I have. So yeah, I can see why they prefer to maybe speak their mind online, but they just feel so uncomfortable sharing it vocally.
So this isn't as much about the influencer, taking the perfect picture on your vacation, projecting a life that, a happiness level that maybe your reality is you're struggling, but you project like everything's fine. You're talking about how they interact with issues, ideas, and other people. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Okay. And then the last thing, summer's happening, which means there's a lot of music festivals going on. And there was one that caught our eye this year that we're really excited about. It's ACL, Austin City Limits. Of course, I'm a little biased because it's my favorite, but they've got a really great lineup this year. The headliners are Dua Lipa, Chris Stapleton, Tyler, the Creator, Blink-182, Leon Bridges. And then there's a lot of other smaller bands like Royal Otis, Connor Price. We're really excited to see those.
Whoa, Connor Price is playing ACL?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Christian rapper Connor Price? That's crazy. Yeah.
He'll be weekend
Good for
one.
him.
So it's really exciting. There's a lot of like really cool music. I know y'all love festivals. I'm curious, do y'all have any like favorite memories that come to mind when you think of music festivals?
Too many to count. I think I went 15 straight years, 13. Too many to count.
Yeah.
Jesse, do you?
Yeah, I mean, just the energy of, seeing an artist with that many people collectively is always an experience,
It's crazy fun.
Yeah.
And it's cool that ACL is doing this because like Coachella kind of like jumped the shark this year. It feels like, just
Yeah. It feels like this is one of the last years of really people caring about Coachella.
Coachella having the cultural cachet that it used to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's getting uncool. Whereas I think it's funny that like ACL, I mean, some respects, Lollapalooza, Bonnaroo, like they never tried to go after the LA Glitz influencer kids.
Thing. Yeah.
And so it's just like music fans coming for great music, and like, and they're still rocking. Love it. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, we'll see y'all at ACL, I guess. That'll do it for
Relevant Buzz.
Stay tuned. Up next, What Up RG joins us. You're listening to Sports and Gus Dapperton. The song is Thank You for Leaving. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by Company of Saints. If you're looking for an original sound in Christian music, revitalize your playlist with Company of Saints' new album, Philosophers and Poets, a genre-blending fusion of Christian electronic vibes. Explore the depths of faith, philosophy, and poetry through thought-provoking words and melodies. It's not just music, it's a journey of self-discovery and spiritual connection. Stream it now on your favorite platforms and experience a fresh take on Christian music. Find out what fans of Company of Saints love about this hidden gem. Well, our guest today is Atlanta's WHATUPRG. He's a hip-hop artist signed to Reach Records and recently dropped his latest single this time last year. He has an amazing story that we want to share with you. In this conversation with Emily, he talks about what it was like growing up as a first-generation Mexican-American, including what it was like to witness his dad get deported, how his life experiences and faith have shaped his identity as an artist, and so much more. Here's our conversation with WHATUPRG.
Well, I've heard you have a really interesting background story. Tell me, what was your upbringing like?
I'm a Mexican, first generation Mexican American artist based out here in Atlanta. Shoot, I don't even know where to start. I've been doing music since I was a kid, honestly. My parents always supported me, like just rapping at like talent shows and stuff, and like barely catching the beat to like, now we're here at Reach and doing Unashamed and doing these tours. Like, it's definitely been a journey, but I think I've seen God's favor and God's hand along the whole way. So, and obviously the support of my parents and my friends and family. So, yeah.
So you said you've always been into music, but when did you decide that you wanted to make a career out of it?
So, I was working at a call center. And I kept getting in trouble for like being distracted. So like I'm taking all these calls and stuff, and that my manager kept getting on me for just getting distracted. I'm always doing something else. And I realized I'm sitting there like thinking through like my next song I'm going to release. And I'm sitting there thinking through like song ideas or merch ideas, design ideas. And yeah, that was definitely my last job. I told myself like, you know what, maybe I should just pursue this all the way. And I dropped my first single, Don't Forget to Live, on my birthday, I believe. Yeah, it was on my birthday. And then, the rest is history. That's the song that Ace discovered. Ace is the A&R over here at Reach. yeah, he discovered that, and I mean, the rest is history.
What was it like to take that leap of faith?
I wasn't really nervous. I was more so just ready to take on whatever came with it. My parents, I've always had, I feel like I mentioned my parents a lot, but I've always had their support. I've always had them backing me. And, you know, obviously rapping isn't like a traditional job. Like, it isn't like something that's like consistent, even definitely at first. Like, I wasn't seeing any money, but if anything, I was losing money. But, you know, my parents were just supportive and they were there with me. And, you know, it's crazy to share these moments with them now. Like, I'm pretty sure my mom's going to look up this interview as soon as it drops. And even just like dropping my album, you know, the first person I was talking to was my dad, you know, so it's really cool to share these moments. And, you know, just, I feel like I get to reward the people who believe in me with just putting in the work and continuing to push forward, you know.
Atención, atención, que la clase está en sesión. Dios bendiga el hip hop, Dios bendiga el reggaetón. Por aquí, por allá, yo camino en bendición porque tengo una mamá.
How do you think your life and your faith shape the music that you create?
I think for me, music and life, really just art and life, aren't like two separate things. I think they can always like influence each other, if anything. Like, when I go to a museum and I see a piece that inspires me, I'm like, dang, like, you know, like maybe I should lock back in and get to work. Or sometimes, yeah, like things that I go through in life inspire the music and the things I put out. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to create out of a place of like, oh yeah, let me do a song like this, or oh yeah, that's what's happening, that's what everybody's doing, let me make that song. Or you know, what's gonna get me trending, I don't know. It's just it's hard to think about because I never really think about those things. Like, for me, it's really just what's going on day to day, and I feel like the music and the art is a reflection of where I'm at most of the time.
I've been in the cul-de-sac, treat me like the quarterback. I've been in my pocket and I still ain't got my folders back. Back when someone stole the Mac, I was feeling so attacked. Almost put a hold on rap, but they need that new sound.
Something that I really love about your music is that you talk about real issues. Like, I'm thinking about your song 3 a.m., which is about your dad's deportation. You know, I'm just so curious, you know, what was it like to sort of relive and reprocess that experience while writing that song?
It's tough because for me, it's not like let me make a song about XYZ. Like, I mean, yeah, the immigration and what happened, the things that have happened to my family, like, that's real, that's our lives, you know. Like, I remember like just driving and seeing and being nervous that there was a police behind us because, like, you know, they pull you over, you being sent back home, you know. So yeah, I don't know, it was just my reality and I chose to express it. For me, a lot of, you know, I didn't realize like how much it would mean to people until it was out, and I realized like, oh man, there's so many people that are going through what I've gone through. Not that I didn't think of that, but like, it just felt even realer. I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, it was like, I felt like I was able to be a voice for people who just don't necessarily have a voice. And yeah, I don't take it for granted. I think it's, I think my story and the things that I've gone through, like, it isn't for me to just like pity myself or like I feel bad or like, yes, we're going through all this, and yes, like, it hurts. And shoot, we're still in the process right now, but it doesn't mean that God can't use it to bring like hope and healing to other people, even while we're in the process. So, yeah, it's kind of where I'm at. It's kind of hard to pinpoint that though, because it's not like something I went through and now we're on the other side of it. Like, we're still dealing with that, and it's my life, and I know a lot of people are going through that. And if I can be a voice for somebody, like, I'm right here just to remind people they're not alone. remind people that like there's hope, and ultimately like point to Jesus.
In a chokehold, way too long, way too long. Broke them chains and came back home. Okay, let's go.
What do you hope people take away from your music when they hear it?
I just hope that they could hear me rather than listening with assumption of what I'm going to talk about or like what I'm going to say. Like, I just hope that they can hear me, because it's not just my story. It's thousands and thousands of other people's story. I just hope that they can maybe have compassion and some sort of empathy for my struggle and for other people's struggle. You know, I don't know. I'm like, it's kind of feeling heavy right now, even talking about it. But like, it's our lives, and I think, I just want people to hear me and see us. Know that we're not just like dishwashers. We're not just like home cleaners. We're not just construction workers. We're not like, we're families that are hardworking, but we have our own struggles. We have our own tensions and things we deal with throughout life. And we're so underrepresented and misrepresented. Like I hope that they can hear me.
That was WHATUPRG. Make sure to check out his new singles. He's got God Made a Way this time last year, and his most recent album, New Hollywood. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback. You're listening to Dora Jar. The song is Bumblebee. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by World Vision. We all subscribe to a lot of services that make our lives easier and more entertaining. But as followers of Jesus, we should want to seek first the kingdom of God in all areas of life, including our spending. That's why I'm so excited about a new kind of subscription through World Vision. Not one for myself, but for others. It's called Believers for World Change. And when you sign up, you're joining a community of change makers working to help end extreme poverty around the world and here at home. World Vision is a Christian humanitarian organization that works with children, families, and communities to reach their God-given potential, focusing on things like gender equality, spiritual nurture, and access to clean water, education, job training, and healthcare, so the entire picture of poverty can be addressed. Let's subscribe to something new together. Subscribe to World Change today at worldvision.org. Again, that's worldvision.org. All right, it's time for your feedback. Now, a little housekeeping note. Jesse is no longer with us.
Don't say it like that. Do not say it like that.
He had to bounce real quick. Anyway, last week we asked you guys, what song or movie would make a good sermon illustration? How do we get talking about that? I forget.
Oh, because I made sure the first buzz item I talked about was Taylor Swift Church and how
Taylor Swift Church in Germany.
In Germany,
her
yeah.
music. They did a whole Sunday series about sermons based on Taylor Swift lyrics, and they had more in attendance in one Sunday than they did all year long at this church in Germany. Yeah. Got us thinking of other songs or movies. Obviously, the Braveheart Matrix era was a little oversaturated in the 2000s and 2010s in churches. So we asked you hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast, and here's a few of our favorites.
I do want to give a quick shout out to Lee, who said that kind of in regard to the buzz, his wife, he and his wife did a mashup of Simple Gospel and Everything Has Changed, which is a Taylor Swift song. And it was received well at our church. I need you to know I love Simple Gospel. That's one of my favorite worship songs of all time. and I love Taylor Swift, as I've made sure everyone knows as well. So I do need to see a video clip of that, and I will make it my like number one Spotify
this is
song.
Lee Maki.
Yes.
Lee Maki. All right.
Maybe.
Oh, Lee. Lee, just leave it there. That's all I'm saying. Just leave it there because it made sense. Like, don't like force it. Like, don't try to like get like Kendrick's Not Like Us into a worship album or something like that. Or a worship song. Like, just leave it at the Taylor Swift thing that you did. End on a high note. Leave on a high note.
And I'm going to fully disagree with Cameron on this one and say you should turn every possible Taylor Swift song into a worship song.
Oh, just Taylor Swift's catalog, not pop music in general. Okay.
There's like 300 songs to choose from. So,
oh my goodness, you're lying. She's put out 300 songs.
I know it's over 200. I think we're close to 300.
All right. So what song or movie would you think would make a good sermon illustration? Here's some of those. Dylan F said, I heard a sermon on Shawshank Redemption when I was in college. It changed the way I watched the movie forever. I'm trying to think, like, I guess the word redemption it makes sense.
Well, like they like are, I was gonna say, fighting for freedom.
It's been forever since I saw it, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's digging through the tunnel of sin to come out the other side into righteousness, maybe.
That's where like I love to see youth pastors' creativity fly, is when it's like they really will do something like that where they're like, this is just a normal scene in a movie, and they're like, actually, this represents the spiritual realm. And it's like, nah, I don't think it does.
The struggle of fighting against sin to get free of pornography addiction. And look, you're on the other side. Yeah.
I remember when I worked with our youth pastor, we had watched, I think, the new like Power Rangers movie that came out in like 2017. And he was trying to convince me, he's like, we should do a whole sermon series on it. And I was like, I don't think we need that. I don't think anyone needs a Power Rangers sermon series.
The young people.
We can do better. Samantha said, I've said it a million times, but Fix You by Coldplay is a deeply theological song, and I won't hear otherwise. I can see, this feels like this is going to fall into there's some songs that will fall into the category of the game we like to play, which is this a love song or is this a worship song?
A worship song, yeah.
I do think there are a lot of love songs that, like, the way they describe love, it could be theological.
Absolutely. Frank said, okay, while most youth pastors use the Matrix for illustrations, mine was obsessed with Rocky. Basically, he convinced me Rocky was Jesus. So
I need to watch Rocky again with the thought of I'm actually watching Jesus in Philly.
Fighting sin, overcoming sin again, like Shawshank Redemption. I don't know.
I'm telling you, these youth pastors, points for creativity.
You're battling sin.
Exactly.
John said, I'm a worship pastor. One of the best worship moments I've ever led was putting Free Fallin' in the middle of a song. He said it got some weird looks at first, but eventually everybody accepted it. Free Fallin'. The Tom Petty song?
Yeah. Okay. The chorus is like, now I'm free falling. I mean, again, I think this is where it's like the love story going into worship.
Oh, there's more where that came from. Go check out our replies at relevantmagazine.com. Okay, it's time for this week's
editorial question of the week. Hey.
Okay, well, earlier in the show, we got to talk about tipping culture getting a little out of hand here. We want to know your thoughts. What are your hot takes on tipping culture? Now, maybe you work in the service industry and you have very personal thoughts about, I need this. Thank you very much for acknowledging my effort. Or you are on the other side of it and you think that this has gone a little sideways and we need to rein it in. What are your thoughts on tipping culture? What do you tip? How often do you tip? What do you choose to not tip? Anyway, hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast or where you see us post this question on the other social channels, and we will read our favorites on next week's show. A little bonus question that Emily wanted me to throw in there was, if you don't have hard thoughts or strong thoughts about tipping culture, tell us what normal celebrity you'd like to see become a Christian. That's what Emily wanted to ask.
I just need to know who we need to target,
That's our bonus Jonas question of the week. I need to come up with a jingle for the bonus Jonas question.
Wait, I do love that my random questions are called bonus Jonases.
Let's do it. I just branded it right now. TM.
There we go.
Ding. All right. Hit us up. We'll read our favorites on next week's show. And then Emily will DM all of the celebrities some sort of link to you version.
I 100% will. I'll do it. Tell me
There
which
you go.
celebrities you want me to DM the Bible.
I love it. The entire Bible. No.
Copy, paste.
We're going straight NIV. We're evangelism. Just boom. All right, here we go. Well, before we wrap things up, I want to thank WHATUPRG for talking to us today. Make sure to check out his new single this time last year and his most recent album, New Hollywood. Great stuff. Also, make sure to follow Relevant Magazine on all the socials. Check out relevantmagazine.com every weekday, where we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, life in your 20s, making a difference, social justice, faith, all the important stuff. And to make sure you don't miss a thing, right there at the website, you can sign up for our daily newsletter where we send you the top 5 trending stories right there to your inbox. All right, and I know we'll wrap things up. Now watch this. It's called The Magic of Editing. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
Look at that. Back from the dead. All right. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
Okay, here's one that I've run into. Doorman.
Relevant Podcast Network.